The man's name was Daniel. He lived on the edge of a busy space colony, a place where merchants from many planets came to sell old machines, broken ships, and strange objects. Daniel was not rich, in fact. He was known as a man who always searched for cheap things in the junk market. He believed that sometimes, even the cheapest item could hide a secret. That day, Daniel walked slowly through the crowded market. Neon lights blinked above him, and the voices of sellers filled the air. "Old ship parts here. Working half the time," one shouted. "Rare crystals. Only 20 credits," another yelled. Daniel shook his head. He only had a few coins. Barely enough to buy food still. His eyes kept searching. He always trusted his feeling. At the far end of the market, hidden under a torn plastic sheet, he saw an old metallic container. It was scratched, covered with rust, and looked like it had been forgotten for years. The container was small enough to carry, but heavy. Daniel felt something strange as he stared at it. His chest tightened like the object was calling to him. The seller sitting near the container was an old man with one eye covered by a metal patch. He looked bored, yawning as Daniel approached. "How much?" Daniel asked. The seller smirked. "For this piece of junk?" "2 credits, no more." Daniel blinked in surprise. "Only 2?" he asked. The old man leaned closer, his voice low. "Trust me, boy. It's worthless, been here for years, no one wants it." But Daniel could not look away. He felt a soft vibration in his hand when he touched the surface, as if the container was alive. He pulled his hand back quickly, his heart beating faster. "I'll take it," Daniel said. The seller chuckled, showing yellow teeth. "You're lost, boy. But remember this," he added, his tone sharp now. "Some containers are closed for a reason." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" The seller only gave him a strange smile. Shaking his head, Daniel paid the 2 credits, picked up the container, and walked away. But even as he left, he felt the old man's one good eye following him through the crowd. Watching silently, carrying the container was harder than Daniel thought. It was small but unusually heavy. The edges pressed into his arms as he walked. People stared at him, some whispering. A few even stepped back as if they sensed something. Daniel lowered his head and hurried toward his tiny apartment. His home was nothing special. A single room with a broken bed, a weak lamp, and a table made from scrap metal. But today, the container made it feel different. He placed it on the table, staring at it for a long time. Its surface was covered with old markings, symbols that didn't look human. They glowed faintly under the dim light. Daniel tried to open it, but the lock was ancient and rusty. He hit it with a small tool, then pulled with all his strength. A faint humming sound came from inside. His hands froze, the air around him seemed colder. He whispered to himself, "What's inside this thing?" He stepped back, thinking of the seller's warning. Maybe it was dangerous, maybe it held toxic gas or worse. But his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He had spent his last 2 credits, he could not stop now. He picked up a screwdriver and forced it into the lock. The metal creaked, sparks flew, and slowly, the container gave way. Blue mist slipped out through the cracks. Curling in the air like smoke, Daniel coughed, waving his hand. But the mist was not painful. In fact, it smelled sweet. Like flowers, the humming grew louder. A steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Daniel's hands trembled. He pulled the lid open wider. Light exploded from inside, bright and silver, filling the whole room. Daniel covered his eyes, his heart racing. "What have I done?" he whispered. The light pulsed once, then faded to a soft glow. Daniel lowered his hand slowly. His eyes widened in shock. Inside the container, something was moving. Not metal, not machines, but shapes long and slender. Their shadows pressed against the glowing walls of the container. Daniel gasped. "This can't be real," he muttered. But the shadows moved again, pressing forward. For a moment, silence filled the room. Only the faint hum remained. Daniel took a step back, sweat on his forehead. Then, with a sudden sound, the container opened completely. The glowing mist poured out, and the shadows began to rise. Daniel's eyes widened even more. He realized that whatever he had bought for 2 credits was not junk. It was alive. It was waiting. And now it was free. Daniel stood frozen, staring at the strange container that now glowed with soft silver light. The blue mist floated around him like ghostly ribbons, dancing in the air and fading slowly. He had never seen anything like this before. His tiny apartment suddenly felt too small, too fragile, like the walls were not strong enough to hold whatever was inside. The humming grew louder, steady and deep. It was like standing beside a great engine, but this sound felt alive. Daniel's heartbeat matched the rhythm without his control. He placed a trembling hand on the edge of the container. The metal was no longer cold, instead it was warm, like skin. For a moment he thought of stopping, locking the thing again, throwing it back into the market, but the lock was broken, and the light refused to dim. He knew there was no going back. Curiosity burned inside him stronger than fear. The seller's words echoed in his mind. Some containers are closed for a reason. Daniel leaned closer, trying to see through the mist. Inside the container, he noticed shapes more clearly now. They were curled together, almost like sleeping bodies. He squinted, pressing his face nearer. His breath caught. "Not possible," he whispered. With a sudden jolt, the container made a sharp cracking sound. Daniel jumped back. A bright line of light split across the top. Spreading wider, the mist rushed out faster. Filling every corner of the room, the humming turned into a soft chorus, like many voices whispering at once, but too faint to understand. Daniel coughed, waving his arms through the haze, his lungs filled with sweet air. It was strange, he did not feel sick. Instead, he felt lighter, as if the mist gave him strength. His skin tingled with energy. He could not resist. He stepped forward again, his eyes locked on the shapes inside. The container finally opened with a loud hiss. The glow inside was blinding, forcing Daniel to shield his eyes. When he lowered his hand, what he saw made his blood run cold. 8 figures slowly unfolded from the container, their bodies glowing faintly in different colors: blue, green, gold, and silver. Each one was tall, slender, and graceful. Their skin looked smooth and shining, their eyes large and bright. Glowed like stars. Daniel stumbled backward, his legs shaking. They were not human, that was clear. Their features were close to human, but far too perfect. Their hair floated as if moved by invisible wind, their faces sharp yet beautiful. Each of them seemed unreal, like living statues of light. Daniel gripped the edge of the table, whispering, "Aliens, I freed aliens." The 8 figures stepped out in silence, their bare feet leaving faint glowing marks on the floor. They moved with perfect balance, as if gravity did not fully control them. Daniel's mind raced. Should he run? Call for help? No, if he did, the authorities would take them. And maybe take him too. One of the beings turned its eyes toward him. Her gaze was powerful yet calm. Her voice, when she spoke, was soft but clear. It echoed inside his head more than his ears. "You opened our prison," she said. Daniel gasped. "Prison? I didn't know." The being tilted her head, studying him. "No one ever knows," she replied. Another alien stepped forward, her skin glowing a soft gold. "How long have we slept?" she asked her sisters. Their voices overlapped like music, strange but beautiful. Daniel shook his head. "I don't understand." His hands trembled. "Who are you? What are you?" The first alien looked at him, her eyes glowing brighter. "We are not from your world," she said. "We are the forgotten queens of 8 lost systems." The words struck Daniel like a hammer. Queens? Rulers? He had expected monsters or maybe machines, but these beings spoke with dignity. They were powerful, but they looked tired, weakened by long sleep. Another one spoke, her voice lower, sharper. "Human, do you know what danger you have brought upon yourself?" Daniel swallowed hard. "Danger?" The alien nodded. "We were not locked away without reason. Hunters will come, they always come when we are freed." Daniel stepped back, his mind spinning. "I only paid 2 credits. I didn't mean—" He stopped as one of them raised her hand. The container behind them shivered, glowing brighter. Daniel realized the box itself was alive. Not just storage, but something greater. The aliens walked slowly toward him, not in anger, but in curiosity. They circled him, their glowing eyes scanning his body. One of them touched his arm gently. Daniel flinched, but the touch was warm, comforting even. Her voice was almost a whisper. "Strange." The container chose him. The others murmured in agreement. Their language shifted into words Daniel could not understand, but somehow the sound still made sense deep in his mind. It was like the mist had connected them. Daniel's fear mixed with awe. He looked at them carefully, realizing each one was different. The silver-skinned alien looked calm and wise, the golden one sharp and proud. Another glowed green, her eyes filled with mischief. Each of them had a presence, as if representing more than just individuals. Finally, the first one stepped forward again. She placed her hand over the container, which pulsed with light. "Human, Your world will not remain silent. They will come for us. They will come for you, she said. Her voice carried no anger, only certainty. Daniel's breath shook. He stared at the 8 glowing beings standing in his tiny room. He had wanted only a cheap object, something worthless. Instead, he had opened a prison of cosmic queens, and now, the galaxy itself might come knocking at his door. Daniel stood trapped between fear and wonder. 8 shining figures now filled his small apartment. Their light touched every corner, turning the dull walls into silver reflections. The mist curled around their glowing forms, like they carried a piece of the stars inside them. He counted them again, 1, 2, 3, 8 in total, each one different, each one beautiful in a way that no human could ever be. Their faces were smooth, their eyes glowing with strange colors. Crimson, sapphire, emerald, and gold. Some looked calm, others sharp and watchful, but all of them shared one thing. They were powerful. The first to step closer was the silver-skinned one. Her hair floated as if underwater, her eyes deep and calm. She looked at Daniel with the expression of someone who had lived 1,000 lives. "Human," she said softly, "you must not fear us." Daniel's knees trembled. His mouth was dry, but he forced words out. Who are you?" The Silver Queen smiled gently. "We are the forgotten daughters of the stars. Bound in silence, hidden from time, and you have broken our chains." Her words echoed not just in Daniel's ears, but inside his head. He felt as if her voice traveled through his bones. He stumbled backward, bumping into the table. "Why were you locked away?" he asked, his voice cracked. "Prisoners?" The golden one stepped forward now, taller than the rest. Her glowing hair streamed down her shoulders like fire. Her eyes burned with pride. "We were rulers once," she said. "Queens of 8 systems feared and respected." She paused, her tone bitter now. "But humans betrayed us. They feared our power. They feared what we could become." Daniel's heart raced. Betrayed by humans. That thought alone made his stomach twist. He whispered, "That can't be true." The Golden Queen tilted her head. "You think your kind has no history of fear? No history of cages?" Her words cut deep. Daniel had no answer. He only stared. The room felt smaller as the 8 figures closed in around him. Another one spoke, her skin green and bright. Her smile was mischievous. Playful even, but her eyes held secrets. "Don't be so hard on him." "Sister," she said, "this one is different." "He freed us when others would have walked away." She leaned closer to Daniel, her voice teasing. "Perhaps he is braver than he looks." Daniel swallowed. His hands shook as he raised them. "I didn't free you because I was brave," he said. "I only bought the container." For 2 credits, his words sounded foolish. Weak even, the 8 queens exchanged looks. Some smiled, some frowned. The smallest of them, with skin glowing pale blue, stepped forward quietly. She looked gentle, her voice soft like wind. "Do not doubt yourself, human. The container does not open by chance. It opens only to the chosen, chosen." The word echoed in Daniel's mind. He shook his head. "No, I'm no one. I'm just a man who got lucky at a junk market." The Silver Queen placed her hand on the container. The glow pulsed in answer. "Luck?" she whispered. "There is no luck here, only destiny." The atmosphere in the room grew heavier. The humming of the container deepened. Daniel felt his chest tighten. It was as if the air itself was waiting, listening. Suddenly, the Golden Queen's expression hardened. She turned toward the others. "Enough," she said. "We cannot waste time." Her voice was sharp, commanding. The others grew silent. She looked back at Daniel. "Listen, human, now that we are free, hunters will come." Daniel froze. "Hunters? Who?" The Golden Queen's eyes glowed brighter. "The ones who locked us away, the guardians of silence. They will sense our release, they will follow the light." Daniel's blood ran cold. His small apartment already felt dangerous. If hunters were coming, whatever that meant, he had no defense. He muttered, "I can't fight anyone." "I don't even have a weapon." The green one laughed softly. "We do not need your weapons, we are the weapons." She lifted her hand, and a spark of green energy flashed in the air, lighting the room like lightning. Daniel stumbled back in shock. The Silver Queen raised her hand to calm her sister. "Peace," she said. "He must understand." "Not fear." Then she looked at Daniel again. "Human, you carry a key you do not yet see. The container chose you because you are needed." Daniel shook his head rapidly. "Needed for what? I'm nobody." But even as he spoke, the container pulsed again. The glow wrapped around him for a moment, like silver threads dancing across his skin. He gasped, the warmth sinking deep into his body. The queens all watched him now with focused eyes. The golden one whispered, "The bond has already started." The others nodded. The smallest blue one looked almost sad. "That means he cannot escape." Daniel felt his knees weaken. He dropped onto the bed. His head spun. He whispered, "What have I done? What have I brought into my life?" The Silver Queen knelt in front of him, her glowing eyes meeting his. "You did not just buy a container," she said. "You opened a door, and once opened, it can never be closed again." Daniel's breath came fast. His heart thundered in his chest. 8 alien queens, once rulers of stars, now free inside his room, and him, a poor man who only wanted a cheap bargain, now tangled in a destiny that stretched beyond worlds. But deep inside, a small voice whispered to him, a voice that was not his own. "It begins with you." Daniel sat frozen on the edge of his bed. 8 glowing queens surrounded him like a circle of stars. Their light filled the room, but it was no longer only beautiful. There was weight in their presence, a pressure that made his chest feel heavy. He looked from one face to another, each alien carrying a different kind of power in her eyes. The Silver Queen, calm and wise, was the first to speak again. "Human," she said, her voice gentle but strong. "You must listen carefully now." She placed her hand on the container and the glow pulsed once more. The sound that followed was deep, like a warning drum. Daniel licked his dry lips. "Listen to what?" he whispered. His voice trembled. The Golden Queen stepped forward, her eyes burning like fire. "To the truth," she said. "We were not locked away for crimes. We were locked away because of fear." Her voice carried anger. Sharp and bitter, she raised her hand and pointed at Daniel. "Fear of humans?" Daniel's head shook wildly. "No, that can't be true. Humans don't lock away queens from the stars." The Golden One's laugh was cold. "You think your people are innocent? Your kind has always feared power they cannot control. We ruled our systems with strength but also with order. Then the humans came, pretending friendship, and when they saw what we could become, they betrayed us." The green-skinned queen leaned closer, her eyes mischievous yet serious now. "They called it protection," she said. "They called it balance, but it was fear. And so they built prisons not of stone but of silence. They sealed us inside containers like this one, left to fade into forgotten time." Daniel's stomach twisted. He wanted to deny it, but their voices carried too much weight, too much pain. "If that's true, why me?" he asked. "Why would I be the one to open it after so many years?" The smallest of the 8, the blue one with soft glowing skin, stepped forward slowly. Her voice was like wind in the night. "Because the container does not open for power alone, it opens for need. And perhaps the galaxy is about to need you more than you can understand." Daniel felt his chest tighten. "Need me? I don't even have credits for food," he said. His voice almost broke. "I'm not a hero. I'm just nobody." The Silver Queen raised her hand, silencing him gently. "And yet the bond has begun," she said. Her eyes glowed brighter. "Do you not feel it? The warmth in your blood, the hum in your bones? The container has chosen you, and now, so have we." Before Daniel could answer, the room shook. A faint rumble echoed from outside the window. The light flickered. Daniel jumped to his feet, rushing to the window in the far distance. Above the colony's edge, strange lights moved in the sky, ships large and dark, scanning beams sweeping across the surface. Daniel's heart pounded. "What is that?" he shouted. The Golden Queen's eyes narrowed. "They have come," she said coldly. "The hunters." The word sent a chill through Daniel. He turned back. "Hunters? You mean soldiers, police?" The Silver Queen shook her head. "Not police, not soldiers. They are the shadows sent to erase what must not exist. Their task is simple: destroy us. And anyone who stands with us." Daniel's knees weakened. "Then they'll destroy me too," he whispered. The Green Queen laughed softly. "Yes, unless you run." She leaned closer, her smile sharp. "But even if you run, they will still follow." "The bond has already marked you." Daniel stumbled back, his breathing quick. "This can't be real," he muttered. "I should have never bought this cursed box." He buried his face in his hands. But the Blue Queen's soft voice reached him. "It was never about choice, human. It was always about time. And time has found you." The humming of the container grew louder, vibrating through the floor. The glow from the 8 queens brightened, filling the apartment with blinding light. Daniel covered his eyes again, but he could still see their forms moving closer to him. The Golden Queen spoke firmly. You must decide now, stand with us, or perish with them. Daniel raised his head, his face pale. Perish? She nodded, her expression like steel. If you stay weak, if you refuse, you will be nothing but dust when the hunters arrive. Daniel's chest rose and fell rapidly. His eyes darted between the 8 queens. He saw calm in silver, fire in gold, mischief in green, sadness in blue, and mystery in the rest. All of them were waiting, watching him. I don't want to fight, Daniel said, his voice shook. I don't want this. I don't want any of this. The Silver Queen stepped closer, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. And yet, she whispered, it has already begun. The hunters will not stop. They will burn this colony to the ground if they must, and your people will call it an accident. But you will know the truth. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He could almost see it in his mind. Ships raining fire on the colony, innocent people screaming, the hunters searching for him, for the queens. The Green Queen tilted her head. So, human, what will you do? Hide and hope? Or stand and survive? Daniel had no answer. He stood trembling, trapped between the crushing weight of destiny and the ordinary life he had lost only an hour ago. Outside, the sky rumbled louder. The hunters were drawing near. The Silver Queen raised her eyes toward the ceiling, her voice low but filled with warning. This is only the beginning, she said, and soon, the galaxy will remember us. Daniel shivered. He realized then that 2 credits had not just bought him an old container. They had bought him a war. The colony night was never truly dark. Neon lights from the market and cargo bays painted the streets with dull colors. But now the sky above was broken by something different. Shadows of ships moved silently through the clouds, massive and sharp. Their beams scanned across the ground, searching like hunters sniffing for prey. Inside his apartment, Daniel pressed his face against the window. His heart hammered so loud he thought it might break his ribs. They're here, he whispered. His voice cracked. They're really here. The Golden Queen stepped beside him, her glowing eyes fixed on the sky. Yes, she said. They have tracked the opening. They always track the light. The Silver Queen joined her, her tone calmer but no less heavy. And they will not leave until we are ashes. Daniel stumbled backward. I can't fight ships, he said. I can't even fight the people in the market. I'm nothing, the Green Queen chuckled, her voice sharp like glass. Then stay nothing and die, or stand with us and live. The ground trembled. A low hum grew into a roar as one of the ships descended lower. Dust fell from Daniel's ceiling. Lights flickered. He dropped to his knees. Covering his head, they're landing right outside, he muttered. His voice was almost a scream. The queens did not move with panic. Instead, they stepped forward, forming a circle around the container. Their bodies glowed brighter, each one shining with a different color. The apartment walls vibrated as their voices overlapped in a strange chant. Not words, but a rhythm older than stars. Daniel crawled to the corner, watching with wide eyes. The glow grew so strong it burned into his vision. What are you doing? He shouted. The Silver Queen's voice answered without breaking the chant. We prepare. The sound of boots thundered outside. Soldiers in black armor spread across the street. Their visors glowed red, and their weapons pulsed with cold blue light. One of them raised a device, scanning Daniel's building. Target located, a harsh voice said through a speaker. Container signal confirmed, move in. Daniel's breath froze. The door shook as they struck it once. Twice on the third strike it cracked. Metal bent inward. Daniel screamed, They're coming in! Before he could blink, the Golden Queen raised her hand. A wall of fire burst across the door, burning bright and hot. The metal frame melted before the soldiers could enter. Their shouts filled the air as they stepped back in shock. Daniel's mouth dropped open. He had never seen power like this, not in movies, not in dreams. That's impossible, he whispered. His fear and awe mixed into one. The Green Queen laughed again. Spinning gracefully, she lifted her hand. And the floor shook. A crack split across the wall. Blasting outward with green light, soldiers outside were thrown into the air like toys. The Blue Queen stepped forward now, her voice calm. Her touch on the container sent a wave of soft energy across the room. The broken windows sealed with glowing mist blocking incoming fire. Daniel gasped. He realized each queen had a different gift, different power. The hunters were not weak, though. They regrouped quickly, their leader raising a heavy cannon. With a loud blast, the weapon fired. A beam of burning energy slammed into the building. The walls exploded outward. Daniel was thrown across the room. Crashing into the table, his ears rang. Dust and smoke filled his lungs through the haze. He saw the queens still standing, glowing brighter than ever. Their light cut through the smoke like blades. The Golden Queen raised both arms, shouting in her strange tongue. A wave of fire roared outward, sweeping across the soldiers. Their armor melted. Their screams pierced the night. Daniel covered his face, shaking. "This is war," he muttered, his voice broke. "This is real war." The Silver Queen turned toward him, her eyes soft even in the chaos. "Yes, human. And it has found you." The hunters did not stop. More ships descended, flooding the street with soldiers. Drones buzzed overhead, their weapons locking onto the building. One drone fired, and Daniel watched in horror as the apartment next door exploded into rubble. The screams of neighbors echoed in the air. His chest tightened with guilt and terror. "This is my fault," he whispered, his hands dug into his hair. "If I hadn't opened that container." The Blue Queen knelt beside him. Her glowing hand touched his face gently. "Do not carry the blame. The hunters would come one way or another. You did not start this. You only revealed the truth." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. He shook his head. "But people are dying," the Golden Queen snapped sharply, her voice like a blade. "And more will die if you remain weak, stand human. The container chose you for a reason. Show us why." Daniel's breath shook. He looked at the container, still glowing, still pulsing like a heart. His hands trembled as he reached toward it. The warmth returned, spreading through his skin. The hum grew louder, matching the beat of his chest. As his hand touched the surface, light exploded, wrapping around him like armor. The Queen stepped back, watching. The Silver Queen's voice whispered like an echo. "It has begun." Outside, the hunters fired again. Their weapons crashed against the building. But Daniel stood, wrapped in light. His fear still burned inside. But something else grew stronger, something new. The queens surrounded him, their voices rising together. Their chant merged with the hum of the container. The ground shook, the air split. And Daniel realized the hunters were no longer chasing just the queens. They were chasing him too. Daniel stood glowing in the center of his broken apartment. The container's light wrapped around him like silver fire. His hands shook, but the hum inside his chest grew louder, deeper, stronger. It was no longer just the box's sound, it was his heartbeat too. The hunters outside regrouped. Their ships hovered above the colony, searchlights cutting through the smoke. More soldiers poured into the streets, aiming heavy weapons at the building. Daniel's knees weakened, he whispered. I can't fight all of them." The Golden Queen stepped forward, her eyes blazing like a star. "You are not alone," she said. "We are with you, but you must choose, human. Do you walk with us into war, or do you fall and let them burn everything you love?" Daniel's mouth opened, but no words came. His chest rose and fell rapidly. His whole life had been small. Markets, scraps and empty credits. He had never been a fighter, never been a leader, and now 8 alien queens were asking him to decide the fate of not just himself, but maybe the galaxy. The Silver Queen touched his arm. Her voice was soft. "We do not command you. We ask, but know this, if you refuse, the hunters will not stop. They will take you, break you, erase you, and we will fade once again into silence." Daniel closed his eyes. His head spun. He saw visions of fire raining from the sky, of cities falling, of people screaming as hunters erased entire worlds. He shook his head violently. "I never wanted this," he said, his voice cracked. "I never asked for this." The Green Queen laughed bitterly. "Neither did we, yet here we are." She tilted her head, her glowing eyes sharp. "Life does not ask what you want, human. It demands what you are willing to do." The room shook as another blast hit from outside. Dust rained from the ceiling. Daniel coughed. His mind screamed at him to run, to hide, but where could he go? The hunters filled the skies. He pressed his hands against his face, whispering, "I don't know. I don't know." The smallest of the queens, the blue one, stepped forward. Her light was calm, soft like water. She knelt in front of him. Her voice was gentle. "Listen to me. You think you are weak. You think you are nothing. But the container chose you. It does not choose by chance. It chooses by truth." Daniel lowered his hands slowly. His eyes met hers for a moment. The noise outside faded. All he heard was her voice. All he saw was her glowing face. "Your heart carries something rare," she continued. "Not power, not wealth, not skill, but will. And that will is what we need. That is why the hunters fear you already. They know what you can become. Daniel's throat tightened. Tears burned in his eyes. But if I choose wrong, people will die, he whispered. The Silver Queen answered firmly. If you choose nothing, people will still die. Her words cut deeper than any blade. Daniel's fists clenched. His fear wrestled with the strange warmth spreading through his veins. The container pulsed again as if calling, as if waiting for his decision. The Golden Queen stepped close, her voice sharp and final. So choose, human, stay a scrap collector, and perish with your world, or rise with us and change the stars. Daniel's body trembled. He felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on his shoulders. He looked at each queen in turn, the fire in gold, the calm in silver, the mischief in green, the sorrow in blue, the mystery in the others, all waiting, all believing in him more than he believed in himself. The building shook again. A section of the roof collapsed. A beam of hunter fire sliced across the street. People screamed outside. Daniel's eyes widened. He saw innocent faces, neighbors running in terror, children crying as soldiers fired without mercy. His heart cracked open. I can't let them die, he whispered, his voice shook. I can't run while others burn. He clenched his fists tighter, his eyes filled with fire. He stood taller, though his legs still shook. If this container chose me, then I'll fight. I'll fight with you. The room filled with sudden energy. The container's hum turned into a roar. Light burst outward, wrapping Daniel in silver threads that hardened into glowing armor across his body. His chest glowed with the mark of the container, pulsing like a second heart. The queens all bowed their heads slightly, even the golden one. The Silver Queen smiled softly. Then it is done, she said. The choice has been made. Daniel's breath was heavy. His eyes wide, his fear had not vanished, but it burned now beside something else. Resolve. The Golden Queen raised her arm toward the window. Fire flared at her fingertips. Hunters, she hissed, let them come tonight. They will learn what it means to wake the queens of the stars. Daniel stared at his glowing hands. He whispered to himself, I'm just a man who bought a container for 2 credits. How did it come to this? The Blue Queen touched his shoulder gently, her eyes calm. It came to this because destiny does not bargain. Outside, the hunters prepared another strike. Ships lowered closer, weapons charged. Soldiers gathered in the street, aiming their cannons at the building. Inside, Daniel stood between 8 queens. Glowing with new power, for the first time in his life, he was no longer just an ordinary man. He was chosen, and his choice had just lit the fuse of war. The night sky burned with fire and smoke. Hunters circled above the colony, their ships spreading beams of destruction. Daniel stood in the ruins of his apartment, glowing with the container's silver light. The 8 queens surrounded him, their powers flickering like living storms. For the first time, Daniel felt something new inside. His fear had not vanished, but it no longer ruled him. The choice had been made. He had chosen to stand. He clenched his glowing fists, ready for whatever came next. The Golden Queen smiled sharply. Good, she said. Now you are not prey. Now you are the weapon. The Silver Queen placed her hand on his shoulder gently. But remember, human, weapons can be lost if their will falters. Before Daniel could answer, the ground trembled again. A dark shadow moved at the edge of the street. Not a ship, not a soldier, but a figure walking slowly through the fire. His coat dragged along the broken ground. His head tilted slightly. His one good eye gleamed in the glow of the flames. Daniel's breath caught, his stomach twisted. He knew that face. The seller, he whispered, his voice almost cracked. The old man from the market? The queens all turned sharply. Their glowing eyes narrowed. The golden one hissed. You! Her voice burned with rage. The old seller stopped at the broken doorway. His smile stretched unnaturally wide. His voice was smooth and mocking. So, the container has finally been opened, he said, and the queens are free once more. Daniel stumbled backward, his chest tight. You knew, he said, his voice shaking. You sold it to me for 2 credits. You knew what was inside, the seller chuckled, his laughter echoing strangely. Of course I knew, boy. I have been waiting a very long time for someone foolish enough, or desperate enough, to break the seal. The Silver Queen stepped forward, her voice sharp. You are no man, she said. You were one of them. The Golden Queen raised her hand, flames sparking at her fingertips. One of the jailers, she growled. The old seller clapped his hands slowly. "Clever as always," he said. His voice deepened, no longer human. His skin shimmered, his form twisting. The wrinkled face melted away. His body stretched taller, his coat tearing apart. Beneath it was armor black as night. Symbols glowing across his chest, his one good eye blazed like fire. Daniel stumbled back, horror flooding him. "He's not human," he whispered. The creature laughed. "Human? No, not for 1,000 years." His voice shook the walls. "I am the warden, guardian of silence, keeper of the chains. It was I who locked you, queens of stars, and it is I who will lock you again." The queens hissed, their light flaring brighter. The green ones spat. "You will not touch us again." Energy sparked in her hands. The others raised their powers, ready to strike, but the warden only smiled. His voice dark and certain. "You think I come alone? Look above." Daniel lifted his eyes to the sky. His heart sank. More ships appeared in the clouds, not dozens but hundreds, stretching like a black ocean above the colony. Their lights blinked red, their weapons aimed down. The Golden Queen cursed, "This is no hunt, this is an army." The warden's fiery eye locked on Daniel now. His smile cruel. "And you, little human. You were the final key. Without you, the container would have remained sealed. Without you, they would have slept forever." He tilted his head, his voice mocking. "Did you really think destiny chose you?" "No, boy, I chose you." Daniel's knees weakened, his chest tightened. "No," he whispered, his voice breaking. "That can't be true, the container. It called to me, I felt it." The warden laughed, the sound shaking the floor. "Yes, you felt it because I placed it there. You were nothing more than the spark to light the fire. And now the fire will consume you all." The queen stepped closer to Daniel, their light forming a shield around him. The Silver Queen whispered, "Do not believe him, human. The container does not obey the warden. It chose you because of what lies in your heart." Daniel's breath came fast. His head spun. Who was telling the truth? Was he chosen or was he only a pawn? The Golden Queen raised her hand toward the warden, flames swirling like a storm. "Enough talk," she said. "We will end him now." She unleashed a blast of fire, the street lit up like a sun. But when the flames cleared, the warden still stood. His armor burned but not broken. His fiery eye gleamed. His voice was cold. "You cannot end me. I am older than your empires, stronger than your thrones." The ground shook violently. Cracks split across the street. Energy surged from the warden's body. The colony's lights flickered. Ships above roared louder. Daniel's ears rang. He clutched the container, his heart screaming in panic. The warden's voice boomed across the ruins. "This is only the beginning, boy. The container was never yours. The queens were never yours. The war you think you've started has already been written, and you are only a small piece." Daniel's vision blurred, his body trembled, but deep inside, the hum of the container grew louder, stronger, refusing to bow. The queens tightened their circle around him, their voices overlapping in a chant, their light pushing back against the warden's shadow. Daniel looked at the creature. His fists clenched, his fear still burned, but beside it was anger, the kind of anger born from betrayal. His voice shook, but he forced the words out. "Maybe I'm just a piece," he said, "but even a small piece can break a giant." The warden's fiery eye narrowed. His smile faded. For the first time, silence filled the street. Above, the army of ships hovered like vultures. Below, the queens glowed brighter, their powers ready. Daniel stood between them, chosen or pawn, about to face a war larger than he could imagine. And in that moment, he knew one thing for certain. His life would never belong to him again.